And welcome to Debate 411. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Right here on this particular program, we get to bring on the table several issues that are of importance to you. And of course, we get to debate them right here on this particular show. And of course, today on the program, we are talking about Referendum. As I was told, it's called in Kinyarwanda. And of course, we're looking at the facts and of course, everything about it. We're going to be having an analysis about it. Are we ready as a country? Is it short notice? And of course, what should we expect after this particular process right here in this particular beautiful country? Let me introduce my panelists right here on the program. My good friend, the Ambassador or the High Commissioner of South Africa, Vincent Karega. Welcome to the program. And of course, on the other end is none other than Thierry Gatete. Thank you for joining us on Debate 411.
Thank you.
It's important to make it clear that we also had other panelists that were supposed to be here on the show, but due to short notice, it's a live show, we were not able to have them on the program, and that was Sani Nayombia, and of course, a representative of the only opposition party that challenged this process. But of course, we all know their point of view on this particular issue, and we also have our own, and therefore the show must go on. Let's look at this particular announcement that was made yesterday, that, you know, we finally have a date for the referendum. 17th of December, and of course 18th of December. 17th for those who are living out of the country, and 18th for those who are here in this particular country. But before we get deeper into our reactions to this announcement, let's look at this process. Can people who always wanted this referendum to take place, can they now sit back and say, this far we have come? You know, and say that we have gotten to a point where we really, really, really wanted to be. Let me start with you, Gatete, because you have been here, you have been monitoring them, and I'm sure my friend also from South Africa has also been monitoring the whole process.
Right. This is the thing that you get before you get exactly what you need, right? What the people wanted is to continue with the president. That's really what they wanted. Now, this is a phase that is necessary to achieve that, but the president hasn't still accepted that he will run in 2017. So there are pending issues. What if the constitution is changed and the president doesn't run? So it would have been all in vain, in my opinion. But at the same time, the president is right not to make a decision before this referendum is carried out. That's my first issue. Second issue is that 30 articles have been changed in that constitution. If it was only for that one article that people petitioned about, that had extensive debate about in this country, this wouldn't be short notice, because people are already very familiar with that issue of changing, waiving term limits, or at least allowing President Kagame to run again. Now, it turns out there's more to it, and I'll come back to it later, but there's more to that was changed at the same occasion as that. And that's what people need to understand before they go to vote
for this, either yes or a no. Ambassador, what he says, there's a point which I'd like you to pick from before you also give me your reaction on this, whether we can now sit back as a country and say, this far we have come, this process that some people have wanted to stop, this far we have come, we already now have a date to go and say what we want to say about the proposed new constitution. But what he says is that in the end, if the vote is done and probably it's a yes that carries the day, and the president says, you know what, I'm not going to be able to accept your wishes or what you're calling me to do, would this process be a process in vain, as he says?
I don't want to preempt or speculate on that, but if you have followed the president of this country, the type of person he is a man of the people, a man who carry actions for the people, and he's very patriotic because he can accept to face any challenge with courage in defense of Rwanda integrity, Rwandan people, and so on. I will not think that if the people, as they've shown their genuine demand for him to come. And if through referendum they continue to prove and confirm their wish to have back the president, that he will not say no for himself, because in that case no will be for himself as a person, against the will of the people he fought for, he has been helping or leading so well. And in the end, I really don't foresee that. But I cannot speak on his behalf, and I cannot speak before the whole process is completed.
But you can speak on your own behalf, Ambassador. Like, for you personally, if at the end of this process he was to say no, just in case, because it's good to look at all sides of the coin. And during the caucus, the RPF, political bureau caucus, he was saying we need to start preparing ourselves for the future and start thinking ahead of time. Will this process have been a process in vain for you?
I don't want to engage into that, because I don't see where it is leading us very much. And the referendum is taking place just in a very short time. So we will have time to get his response. And we will go by his response.
No, whatever response he makes.
So whatever response is there, what we know, it's not from him that we can expect any sabotage or confusion brought to this country. So whatever will come from him will be wise and timely enough to help Rwandans move forward, not move backwards.
Not move backwards. Yeah. So, Gatete, for you, you're able to give that answer for that? You would feel like the process was in vain for you?
Right. So, for me, let's go back to the drawing board here. The president had conditions to this process. So the people have simply asked him to run again. That's where the conversation ends. And he said, right, so what? Run again and then what? You convince me, you convince the world, you bring out convincing arguments, then I run. Repeating over and over again, we want you to run, is not a new argument. That we already know that the people want him to run. But he realizes that that's not an answer in itself. That's just the beginning of a long conversation. The conversation is, now we still want you because. People came up with many ideas. We want you for the stability. We want you for the continued progress. He said, right. But when we talk about, it actually was very well termed. It was change in stability. Change must occur. People keep talking about the stability and the continuity. People are not talking about the change. And we need to start furnishing that change. What is the change that must occur while President Kagame runs, should he accept to run? In my opinion, it's just one argument. Repeating this won't change anything. People say this for the last 1 year, that they want President Kagame to run. Now, granted, we agree. Now, the next thing, President Kagame said, all right, you want me to run again? You have to come up with arguments that will convince me to run. In other words, you have to put content into that change that must occur. Now, people are not putting content in that change, but they're emphasizing, basically not emphasizing, repeating the continuity and the stability. I think the debate is not full enough.
The debate is not full enough. This is what he thinks. But the head of state himself in several forums actually says, I encourage this debate. In fact, even mentioning that this is one debate that he feels, icked sometimes. He feels tempted to join in, but he feels like he wishes that it was not, he was not, the part of that particular debate.
Sure.
And looking at this date that has been set already, have we had enough time to really have concrete conversations around this and concretely agree on the pros and cons and probably the possible impact of whatever actions that we will make? For you, from where you are in South Africa, has this debate gone on to a point that people are able now to make an informed choice, Rwandans living in South Africa?
I think for more than 1 year now, this debate has taken place in the media first about the change and stability. And it was quite elaborate and different views came up. Then the petition time. And after the petition, the parliamentarians went to the people again.
Yes.
To really hear what they put in the petition, what is the feeling, and so on. It was, of course, not easy for President Kagame to join the debate because we are talking about him. By coming into the debate, he may definitely have a position and ideas in this debate, but for him not to influence the thinking, the genuine thinking of the people, it is good that he has been observing. And I'm very proud as Rwandan, first of all, that this debate, this public request have occurred. We know so many cases of leaders who were so good and people had expectations. But after some times in office, nobody wants to hear about them. But in our case, we want him more. Then probably we want him the first day. So that speaks volume in itself. It tells the world, it tells ourselves that we've been lucky in such a bad time to have a leader who really touches our hearts by what he does, what he plans, and how he stands for us. Because we should stand for ourselves as a country, but we cannot all represent the country wherever we are. We are not all ambassadors, we are not all president. And representing people is not something easy, because you may misrepresent them even involuntarily. But if today we have a strong consensus in this country, the youth, the women, the men, the young and the very old, that he has been representing us the way we want, and sometimes beyond our expectation, is such a strong statement in the world and such an inspiration for so many people who aspire to be leaders, either in Africa or in the world, of what they should do to be still wanted and to be always seen with value. So consistency over time is not something you get everywhere.
So you feel, yes, you feel we are lucky as a country, and the conversation, in your opinion, have happened, and it's enough for people to make a decision at this point?
It is very much enough. People may say, oh, this referendum, but I remember that from day one, it was well explained that even if you have written petitions, there will be parliamentary discussion, there will be parliamentary decision, and after parliament, there will be a referendum.
Yes.
So referendum was spoken about long ago. The only issue could be logistics, but knowing that this country has got a well-equipped, well-structured, well-organized National Electoral Commission, and that commission is in preparation for local government elections. So logistically, we won't face any problem. And referendum is different from elections where many people are competing. In a referendum, it's a yes and a no. And nobody will say we didn't have time enough to campaign for ourselves. But even those, the party or the individual that do not want change, or the constitutional change, or President Kagame to come back, they've been speaking throughout the process. They even have been to court. So that's their campaign.
So that they should take that as their campaign.
They should take it as their campaign from day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me bring in Gatete here, because Gatete, as a blogger, you have also played a role in your own writing pieces, appearing on shows on this particular issue. Listening to Ambassador Karega here, do you feel that we have gone full-blown in this debate and we are now able to make a sound decision during this particular process? Because he says even those who say that they needed time to convince people, they have been through the process, through the court process, through their arguments for a no vote in this particular session. So they have had enough time to convince whoever wants to vote no in this referendum.
Have you ever seen a boy who's in love and he's trying to get married? He may not have a job, he may not have anything, he just wants to get married to that particular girl, and vice versa. I think that's also the issue here. People just like their president. They love their president. They also like what's happening to their lives now as we speak. If this continues, they actually don't even see why things should change. So that component of change has not been addressed because people seem to think status quo is perfect. Now, because I see that that issue was not touched on sufficiently, I want to say that the fact that the Constitution had a 7-year term first and then a 5-year system, that's already one of the hints of what they plan to do. When I spoke to one of the people who are involved in the Constitution, they told me, we want to ensure that within the next 7 years, institutions are strong enough during that period. That's what we'll focus on, so that when presidents come for 5 years, it will be relevant even if they come for a short period of time, they will not affect so much the institutions that will be in place. That's the only hint that I've seen so far as to what changes they want to make. Now, I have a feeling that Rwandans, when you ask them, do you want President Kagame, they just say, yes, we just want President Kagame. Regardless, they feel that he's been doing all right so far. They have nothing to say about his legacy, his track record so far. It's been excellent. Therefore, they don't see why he shouldn't just continue with what he's been doing, and they'll be just fine.
So in your opinion, do you feel that these reactions of we just want President Kagame are just made out of ignorance? They don't have
No, it's
facts,
not ignorance. It's actually very
informed.
informed.
Yes.
It's informed by what they've been seeing, the food they've been seeing on the table, the schools they've been sending their children to, the roads they've been seeing on the street, the security, and so on. No. Factors, things, ingredients for that assurance are there. That's not the problem. The problem is the reason the change part hasn't been enough furnished is because people are not so much interested in the change. Only President Kagame, I have a feeling, is interested in that change. Why? Because he believes, now these people seem to be just happy, but I'm also a human being. At some point I'm going to have to, it's not today, it may not happen in 2017, but one morning he's going to have to leave. But if these people are not starting to think beyond me, when will they start thinking beyond me? The day that I've left, the next morning? They should start thinking about it now. And people just are not interested in thinking about that. And that's where I have an issue with.
Ambassador, do you share the same feeling? That today, most people are just thinking about the individual of the president of today, based on his track record, and therefore causing such people like Gatete worried that, if we are always thinking about him, what happens the day that he decides to leave?
It's not very much about thinking about him or ignoring the word change. Change may not mean necessarily change of individual. It may mean as well change in steps of our country transformation. As you know, we had time for emergency programs to address the immediately after genocide. We had time for recovery, time for reconstruction. Now we are talking of transformation. So the people of Rwanda have been observing the president. Actually, the president is not appreciated for being the right president who brings food at the table, not the manager of good policy, but the unconventional leader. The person who comes with a solution when you think there's no room for solution. And that is quite unique. It makes him unique. When you look at all the issues to do with unity and reconciliation, after wounds and people were desperate, so many refugees in the neighborhood of Rwanda. You know, there was a time when this country had beyond 3 million people outside of the country. And once people are outside, it's quite unusual that they come back. And there are organizations like NGOs and so on. Sometimes that's why the NGOs are not very positive about Rwanda, that eat on refugees and do never encourage refugees to return home. They always find ideas of why refugees should never return home. But if you reassess and you see how the massive return of refugees in DRC, refugees in Tanzania and Burundi occurred at an unexpected moment, it tells you how unconventional he is and how visionary he is. Mm-hmm. Because he could manage a country with few people who support and listen and ignore those who want to be abroad forever after committing genocide. But bringing them back came with forgiveness, reintegration, rehabilitation, and forging unity of Rwandans in a very unconventional way and with very limited means. So a time when we say, or the people of Rwanda say, we want President Kagame, is because through him we see the possible and the impossible being addressed. Mm-hmm. Probably the country is stable now. Anyone of goodwill, good faith can run the country, manage the country. But not everyone is able, in the context where the country is, to really take it to the next level, to transform the country, to consolidate the factors like reconciliation out of the impossible almost. Mm-hmm. Who would have ever expected that those who killed and those who lost will one day sing together in a church, share the same mudugudu or the water pipe and so on. It shows you the strength, the power of a leader who cares, who inspires the people beyond their own sentiment, and they go towards the bigger vision of building a country, building a legacy. Mm-hmm. So we have an extraordinary man, yes, a very unique man, very courageous. And those foreigners who sometimes say he has been there around, I want to say that he's not the longest serving president in the continent. He's not the eldest in age, and he's not the most inefficient. Actually, he has been the most performing. According to our means and our problems, and where we are today, I don't know any other case study in Africa or in the world that is this. Mm-hmm.
So there's a good track record here that you're talking about, and for people who argue and say that there's this mentality of just trusting and believing in just the head of state, that is the president of the republic, and not as opposed to institutions, which is saying this is what is worrying him and other like-minded people out there, that we sort of tend to put all our eggs in one basket. What of the day that he says, I'm not able to continue, I don't want to continue, what happens to the country? What happens to us? Just very briefly.
Right, so first of all, is Kagame an exceptional leader? That's not where the debate is. Mm-hmm. We agree, absolutely 100%, me and you, we agree on that. I travel around Africa. I studied in South Africa, where he's ambassador. I know, I've never seen a leader like Kagame before. And isn't that really the problem? Over time, we have an exceptional leader. It's okay to keep him as much as we can and get as much as we can get from him. With him, we can achieve a lot more indeed. So that's not really the debate that we're having. We're on the same page on his performance, on the fact that he's exceptional. What we are not on the same page at is, can we do an exercise just for the sake of planning, of thinking what would happen after Kagame? Can we do that candid discussion? today? Or do you think this is not appropriate a time to start thinking about that? Because remember, after our head of state has served 2 terms, we have realized there's no one else as exceptional as him today. It's a good thing. It's also a bad thing. If we could have 5 Kagames, I'm being ambitious now. If we could, it would be perfect. Now, we don't have them, but luckily we still have the Kagame that we have today. So President Kagame, I will vote yes to that referendum. I've been for a long time...
Vote is secret, actually, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm actually backing I've been writing articles saying he should leave, and then over time as I went and observed, and then I realized we need to keep him for another, at least for 1 more term. Now, the thing is, can we have this candid conversation about what will happen when Kagame leaves?
Let's have it.
I think after the break. We'll talk about this
Okay.
and more. We'll move the conversation even forward because I'm also receiving some comments out here. Armel Papa Benoit on Twitter. He's saying that many Rwandans don't know exactly what referendum is, and they don't know even what will happen on the 17th and 18th. He comes back to say that, don't you think that the time remaining for referendum is not enough? And I think this ambassador was saying we don't need more time. But of course, when we come back, we'll debate about that, if we need more time or we do not need more time on this particular exercise. Keep your comments coming. Keep those tweets flowing. All you need to do is just tweet at Debate411 or tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe. Remember to add the hashtag Debate411. The question is, are you ready yourself? Do you know enough concerning this particular referendum that we'll be going for on the 17th and 18th of December 2015? Talk to us. When we return, we'll move the conversation forward. Stay with us.
So Natasha, are we cornering our teachers?
Exactly.
Are we being unfair to them?
At the end of the day, Fiona also mentions that the more you show them this condom, the more you're opening up their minds to having sex. But do you feel well represented? Do you think the media issues are well taken to the table when it comes to advocacy? How do we convince them and say that we shut it down because you exceeded the limits? The word conservation looks just complicated, but how do we simplify this?
What role do our schools play then? And the people around our children, what role can they play in order to avoid these children becoming a menace in the society?
Caroline, you just want to sound moral, but you're just not accepting the reality on the ground.
Well, I want to sound moral and encourage it and practice it.
This is an EA production.
Shop at Nakumatt UTC and Nakumatt Kigali City Tower and enjoy 50% discounts on home living face towels, bath towels, and hand towels. Grab this great opportunity and get yourself selected carpets at a half price. Hurry, hurry, hurry while stocks last.
Terms and conditions apply. Nakumatt, you need it. We've got it.
hahira muri Nakumatt City na Nakumatt Kigali City Tower maze uryoherwe n'igabanuka ry'ibiciro ringana na 50% ku mayisume y'ubwoko butandukanye. Koresha aya mahirwe uhabwe itapi wihitiyemo kuri kimwe cya kabiri cyayo wari bwishyure. Ihute ntutangwe. Amategeko n'amabwiriza birakurikizwa.
Nakumatt, you need it. We've got it.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for making time for the program. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. This is Debate 411. We are open to receive your comments and views. And, of course, you can be able to join the conversation now on the referendum or referendum And all you need to do is just tweet us at Debate411 or tweet me directly at Eugene Anangwe. You can as well go to my Facebook page, that is Eugene Anangwe. I'll be able to read some of your comments from there. Do that right away. And of course, right here on the program, we have none other than Ambassador Vincent Karega and Thierry Gatete. And of course, we are just conversing about this in length, about the referendum itself. But of course, before we went for the break, there was the issue of timing and there's the issue of information. And there's need now for us to probably clarify with the knowledge that we have ourselves on whether this time is really short notice or it's okay, it's enough, it's fine. In your opinion, Ambassador, you had mentioned earlier on and hinted that we don't necessarily need a lot as far as this is concerned. It's not just like a voting election where you have competitors, just a yes and no. Is that enough? That this timing is enough?
I think the people of Rwanda knew long ago that the process will end with referendum. Mm-hmm. That's why they could tell that it's not yet done. And they know what is a referendum, contrary to what that gentleman is saying. Before we adopted our constitution in 2003, there was a referendum. I believe you remember that. And in this country, even though the referendum was badly interpreted, in 1959, before we got independence, there was what they called Kamarampaka, and it was a referendum. So the word referendum, the word Kamarampaka in this country is not new. And it's not a surprise that the people will now go to referendum, yet it was not part of the plan. It was well declared long ago. What was lacking, it was the date. Now, what do they need to prepare for? They know where their voting stations are, have always been, so there will be no change into that. They know they use vote bulletins. It's much more complicated to vote for people than to vote for yes or no motion. So simple as that. So what time do you need? Unless you are the Electoral Commission saying, I don't have the boxes, I don't have the staff to deploy, and so on. We are a country that is decentralized, organized, and so on. But I was much more interested into something that he kept on bringing. He said, we are too much into an individual. Mm-hmm. And we also get to hear that from some foreign media. When they say that, they kind of assume that the president is alone and nobody else in the country or no institutions do exist. I think one of the biggest legacy or the biggest achievement of President Kagame is building institutions. Why do we say we have security in this country that is better than probably in most countries in the world? It is because of institutions of security that are efficient in that work. It's not something that's just collapsed. So he's not the person who is managing the border at Kyangugu or Burundi or whatever. Institutions that he has created, that he has given characters, are managing the security. If we say entering Rwanda is easy and no, it's not cumbersome, no corruption,
yes,
it's because an institution called immigration or immigration works. If we say it's easy to do business in this country, it's because an institution called RDB works. If we say in courts judgments do no longer take years and whatever, it's because an institution called Ministry of Justice, the judiciary system, is working. How many reforms we had in this country in putting up and reshaping institutions?
So all these answer that concern of those who say that
so
we should build
those who say after him what happens?
Yes.
After him the institutions and the spirit he has been putting in the country will remain and make Rwanda continue to be stable. Mm-hmm. But having him for as long as we can, it's an advantage because I say, apart from managing and running well the country, like probably all the institutions he has built can do, the transformative capacity, the unconventional statutes that he has in a country that is emerging, in a region that is not that easy, with a history that can bring fragility, we still need his wisdom, his capability to manage these other issues, not only agriculture or education, but that spirit, that character
It's still needed.
that he instilled
Yes.
into these institutions that are still young, but doing the right job that is putting Rwanda on the map by rating. So always challenge those who think he's the only man. He is an exceptional man who builds systems,
With the team behind him.
the team behind him, and who connects with the people. So
Yes.
people all together can also be the institution that we call Rwanda on the move, moving in the same direction with a common vision and purpose. It is also an exercise of a lot of energy and effort and inspiration and awareness raising that build that togetherness that was not existent in this country for generations.
Two things he mentions. Number one, the issue of timing. It's fine. What do you need time for? To do what? We knew about this all along, and it's a simple exercise, just going and deciding what you want between a yes and a no. And of course, also mentioning the issue of institutions, because most people who criticize President Paul Kagame for saying that, you should not be the only one there, you need to build institutions. People should not trust in an individual, they should trust in an institution. He mentions that indeed, behind him, there are institutions that have made Rwanda stand out when you talk of cleanliness, when you talk of security. Talk to me about the issue of timing first, and then we jump onto the issue of whether we indeed feel satisfied with those who answer the way he has answered, that indeed it's not about an individual. We have institutions that are working with this individual.
Okay, the timing, I'm not very happy about it, but we can make it work. I mean, it's not the first time in this country we do what I call hit the ground running. Logistically, we're fine. We can have secret ballot, as he said. That means we still have the infrastructure for that, and printing a ballot doesn't take long. So logistically, we can beat the time. Mm-hmm. Now, in the beginning of this show, I was talking about the fact that there's 30 changes in that constitution. It's not only Article 101 that's changed. There's 30 articles that changed. So the 30 articles include, for example, the term of senators, which it was one term non-renewable, it's now 2 terms renewable. The term of Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice was non-renewable, now it's 2-term renewable. What else? From a lawyer's perspective, international law was put below organic laws. I had so much debate about that too. But yes, so that's also the information. So it's up to us in the media to also address that. So that also will be addressed. I'm just saying that we could have had more time, but that will be addressed. So I think on that front, we're fine. We'll make it work. And in this country, we're ready to work on deadlines and to beat the deadlines. So that's fine. We can do that. Coming back to the problem of institutions, on that also we have no debate. We agree. I mean, Rwanda is the 8th most efficient government, 7th most efficient government in the world. So we agree on that. I was not talking about the level of institutions. That's not my problem, once again. But my problem is a president in this country is still at the center of the functioning of this machine that we call Rwanda. He's the CEO of Rwanda Inc. One journalist once referred to him as that. Now, I'm going to borrow one of President Kagame's expressions and say 2017 is the floor, it's not the ceiling. Because we elect President Kagame in 2017, again, he continues to be president, and then what? Mm-hmm. In 2022, we do the same, and in 2027, we do the same, and so on and so forth. And then what? That's really my question to this discussion. Not because I think it's not a good idea. I think it's a good idea. But, and then what? Let's expand the debate a little bit. Let's not go back to the performance of President Kagame because we agree on it, and which is why we're going to elect him again.
What would be
and
the answer to that, and then
I'm
what?
listening to myself,
Yes.
and I'm realizing there's no point in doing a debate because if everything is fine, then where is the problem? Now, in a short term, everything is perfect. But in a long run, we need...
But if I may chip in, you said he's the man at the center. He's in charge. He's in control. And I think we must be happy and proud of having a president in charge, in control, who is in touch with reality, and that's what makes things happen. Those who try to disconnect the role of an individual leader and the country self-running, countries that are self-running, they tend to go to chaos. And it's not the first time in the world. We talk of individuals who have made their countries change. All these European superpower, you'll hear names like De Gaulle did this, Bonaparte did that, Churchill did that, Lincoln in America did this, Lee Kuan did this, Mao Zedong did that. They were at the center of something, of an ideology, of a way of doing things, of inspiring nations.
And for him, he feels that is a
yes,
bit dangerous for long term.
This is the change Rwanda is undergoing. This is a positive change. It's because probably for the first time, we have someone who is not a puppet of an external force. We have someone who is really bringing back our identity by digging deep into the fact of being Rwandan, Rwanda, to be reflected into all. And that's what is rebuilding the confidence the people of Rwanda have in the leadership, because they now feel they own a country, they own a name, they own a brand. And that can only happen if there's leadership. And leadership is made with men and women, and on top of them, there is an individual. So we cannot talk of things happening without individual. Show me a case where it happens. This is just a negative campaign. Why do we talk of Obama administration in America or Bush administration? Why don't we talk about American administration? It's because those administrations are different. The person character of the man in charge impacts on the issues. That's why we will say one day, this president was good on social issues, the other one was good on economy, that one was bad on international relations, and it affects the whole country, the image of the whole country. So they talk of their individuals proudly or negatively,
and so Rwanda should also be allowed to do the same.
They want to shadow down our individuals as if we shall operate like, even in an association or in an NGO, there's always the head of mission, head of organization, and those heads bring character. Head of UN, the current, the past, and they have different characteristics that they brought into the UN.
Ambassador, your point is home and clear. With the few minutes that we're remaining with, it's important to move this conversation forward as we promised and talk of what even the head of state himself said. After this particular process, we really need, as a party, he said, and also as a nation, to plan ahead. And there's a statement he also made there that, we need to move beyond fear. Just 10 years, you're still in fear. 20 years later, you're still in fear. And thinking of an individual. These are some statements that were made at this particular conference. And it's important for us to also try to think about them. And for you, in your own opinion, when this kind of ball is thrown in your court as a Rwandan, first of all, what in your own mind, in your own way or own capacity, do you think we should be doing then?
I don't think we are pushing him to come back out of fear that if it's somebody else, the country will be in crisis. I think we have seen so many exceptional good things. The country is moving, yes, but the country has not resolved most of the key issues. The country is still economically dependent at a certain proportion on the external support or aid. The country is still threatened, either it is minimal threat by the FDLR physically and ideologically. And the country can still be threatened by feelings and mood of those who committed genocide, who have never reconciled, who have never rejoined the country, and who continue to spread hate messages. So having the man who has reduced under his leadership the big threat of Interahamwe and whatever to probably by 90% plus, and having the man who has brought together the people who definitely the world thought they should live separate in the country or chop the country into 2 or 3. And now that country is vibrant. And he's there, and he's young, and he has got the energy. So looking to have him is like, can we continue with the most efficient driver?
So
even though there are drivers.
In other words,
let's say there are drivers.
Yes.
But can we continue with the most proven, efficient, available driver to move? We don't just want to move, but to move faster. So as we move, as we build, skills, thinking will be changing in this country to the extent that one day, when he's about to go, there will be potential, young, committed leaders with the spirit of a united Rwanda, like it is getting built, with proper understanding of geopolitics, economics, and so on, security, and we move on. Then I don't even know why you think we are like the only one in the world who fear to change the good into the uncertain. Why in Europe, where civilization, they call Europe the center of civilization, they colonize people, exporting civilization. They've been to school for more than 100 years. They have generations and generations of educated people. They, in most countries, don't have term limit. And we've seen leaders in Europe coming twice and 3rd times. And sometimes trying, coming 4th time. If they really shine, they can also come 10 times. Do you know
It's
that?
about track
because
record,
if
about
it's
performance.
if they had track records,
Yes.
and they remain pleasing their people will never regret having them 20 times.
Yes.
But for us, because even the so-called democracy that we are applying has been too much inspired by those who want to control the continent. It's like, come and go. It's like they want to test all of it in the market.
But in this same show, you were here the last time and you said that come and go sometimes gives an opportunity to a country to find somebody probably who also might be exceptionally better than whoever was there. And you gave an example of Tanzania, what people are seeing. Maybe it is over-exaggerated or not, but there is a lot of news coming out of Tanzania today in terms of the way leadership is being done. This is an argument that some people out here also
It's
have.
provided for.
Okay, so
Yes.
what I want to say about this is what I want to, my own analysis, having asked questions.
We have very little minutes to go, my friend. Let's go.
We can have another ordinary president. There was a French president, the current French president, when he campaigned on the fact that he wanted
was
to
very
be
normal.
He wanted to be normal,
Yes.
président normal.
Yes.
We don't want a president that's normal in this
For
country.
now, the country is not that normal.
No, we can have a president that's normal. I don't know if President Kagame will say yes or no. But should he say no, we'll have a normal president. That's at least that's how I try to convince myself of this. Because having debated, it's also something that's personal conviction. So we can have a normal president. Ambassador here has been in politics for a long time. He can be our president. And many more cadres of the party. But we have an outstanding president. And accordingly, we've been performing outstandingly. These other countries have a head start over us, but we've been outperforming them in almost every sector. Now, the way I convince myself of this is that we indeed can have a normal president. So we will only change our president when we reach a level where normalcy is good enough, where a president that's normal, that's ordinary, is good enough to continue sail at that level where we may be middle-income country, or where we are the level where we don't have so much pressure, social, economic, political, security pressures that are around us. When we can afford normalcy, that's when we can afford to change our outstanding president. That's the way I convince it to myself. And on that, I think I've gone around the whole question, because I've been trying to understand what it is after this. When are we going to afford to have a president that's other than President Kagame? Is the day that we can afford normalcy. I think that's how I explain it to myself.
So in your own particular mindset, you feel we are on the right path with the whole process that we're having right now. But as you ponder on that, let me just throw out some of the comments that we're also having out here. We have Eve Nsengiyumva, who's calling himself on Twitter at Sarkozy Eve. He says that good talk. The president has a vision that everyone feels comfortable following, instead of the change which is uncertain. I think it answers part of what you're saying. We have Claude Noble, who just decided to say negative. And I think it's on a question that we had asked about being ready for the referendum. I think him is not really ready for this. But of course, as we move close to the end of the program, final parting words. What do we do as a nation after this whole process? Because it's a process that has been anticipated. People have spoken about it. It has caused attention of many people across the world. Ambassador, what do you see Rwanda? Where do you see Rwanda after this particular process?
This process is very good, and actually some of the questions we are asking to ourselves now, that we didn't, even though we know we want our president, he has been outstanding, but we don't make it automatic that we want him, we have said it, he comes. We come with a referendum. Go think again. You sure of what you said? Can you confirm this? You get my point. It is so democratic.
It's healthy.
And very healthy. Okay, people may say we are not ready for a referendum. We will see the number that will turn up, and then it will tell us if we were not ready. We'll see the number of bulletins that will be wrongly filled. Then we'll say, oh my goodness. Out of 10 voting people, only 2 can fill the bulletin. But if the people of this country have been filling much more complex bulletin with so many candidates, and now they are going to fill a yes and no, and near their houses, so I don't know what people want. Some people love or believe in unnecessary lengthy processes. But as I said right from the beginning, the process has been spoken about. Referendum word has come time and again. I even remember when they were presenting budget. Budget was discussed last year before July. The MPs said, we will have a referendum. We may end up having a referendum. We must plan financially for the referendum. So they knew what they were talking about.
So
when they went to the people,
the country stronger.
Yes, when they went to the people said, why don't we vote now?
More democratic.
They told them, we will have a referendum. And the referendum continued to strengthen the ownership of the people over the Constitution.
Good.
He said there are so many other things that will change in the Constitution. Everything that changes in the Constitution is not for submission to referendum. Only some core principles. I'm not an expert, but I know it's not each and every matter. Some matters can be changed by Parliament,
And
and
others
other
will be put to
matter
the
requires to go to
I'm
referendum.
being harassed
That
on my
touch the,
earpiece here that we
fundamentals,
need to really run and allow
Yeah.
Imi and the team in the
Sure.
newsroom to really do the news. But very briefly, when we leave after this particular process, where do you see the country in just one sentence?
So this debate has left the country, has increased very much the level of civic participation and debate in this country. And let me finish that.
That's
just
the end
quickly.
of the sentence.
The sentence ends like this. I think after the referendum, let's continue the discussion.
Good. That's a full stop. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for joining me on this particular conversation, of course, giving us your insights. And of course, it's a conversation that has to keep going. We'll keep our ears on the ground on this particular whole process. And of course, for you as well, who's been tweeting us, thank you very much for the comments and feedback. Some of you even sending me messages. Jose, thank you so much. I just saw it right now. Abdul, thank you as well for your message and, of course, for watching. And let's keep this conversation going on. Just on Twitter, @Debate411. Let's keep talking. #Debate411. We'll see you again on Monday. Same time, same place. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. See you.